Good morning, everybody, and welcome to our April stakeholder engagement session. Thank you very much for taking the time to join us. Can I just get an indication? Can you all hear me clearly? Can you hear
Yes,
me
we can hear you, Natasha.
Great, thanks so much. Thank you very much. Welcome, everybody. I hope that you will enjoy today's session. I have put the agenda up on screen for us just to have a quick run through of what we will be looking at today. We'll start with an overview of the council and its systems. We will then move into continuing professional development and finance, followed by a Q&A session for CPD and finance. Then we, at 10:20, we hope to move into an overview of construction health and safety and the registration requirements pertaining to that. And we will follow that also with a Q&A session about that needs to be CHS focused, please. And then following that at 11:15, we will look at the PCM stream and those registration requirements and details. And then again, followed by a PCM registration Q&A session. So I would like to get started without further ado. Let me just, please allow me just to bring up my screen here. So before I get started, you will note that on the right-hand side of your screen, or there's a chat box, which will come up on the right-hand side of your screen. If you have any questions, please put your questions in the chat box. If you can wait until the Q&A session to put your hands up for questions, that would be much appreciated. And then keep your mics on silent just for the duration of the presentation so that we don't interrupt the speakers. Thank you very much, everybody. All right, so kicking off, sorry, let me introduce myself. My name is Natasha van der Berg. I am the Stakeholder Relations and Communications Representative of the SACPCMP. If I could just ask, and I'm not sure if you have admin rights, if somebody in the team can just let the people in the lobby let them in, I would appreciate that. Thank you. So thank you for that. All right. So when we look at the SACPCMP, what are we as a council? So it's our full name is the South African Council for the Project and Construction Management Professions. We're a statutory professional body. We were established through an act of parliament, and we register professionals in 14 categories. So, and these fall under sort of three main streams, which are project construction management, building inspectors, and construction health and safety. So the council was established under the Act to regulate the project and construction management professionals to protect the public. So the protection of the public is our key is a key focus for the council. We work within the built environment, and this refers to all structures that are planned and erected either above ground or underground, or land that's utilized for the purpose of infrastructure or the purpose of supporting infrastructure. We fall under we work with the Council for the Built Environment, and I'm sure as many of you know, there are 5 other councils that work alongside us within the built environment in South Africa. For example, the Engineering Council of South Africa, or the South African Council for Property Valuers. A number of people say, often think that the only responsibility of the council is to register people, but we in fact have 13 mandates that we look to fulfill. These include continuous professional development, as well as professional registration, recognition of voluntary associations. So the council actually has quite a wide scope in terms of its mandate and its responsibilities to the public that it serves. How do we keep in contact with with our community and with our stakeholders. One of the ways in which we do this is we engage with our voluntary associations. So we have 16 voluntary associations. I'm sure you might know some of them. SACPCMP or Master Builders South Africa, SIASH, SAF, which is the South African Roads Federation. So we work continually with these voluntary associations so that we can keep in touch with our stakeholders and those who are working in the industry. The SACPCMP recognizes the voluntary associations as industry representatives, but the VAs themselves are not regulators, which the council is, and the council is a regulator that was established through the Act. So we have a value proposition in general as a council, and this is divided between three key stakeholders that we look at, which is the public, which is government and industry. So, for example, when we look at the public, one of the things that we look to do in terms of our value proposition is provide the public with confidence that people who are registered with us have the necessary level of professional expertise to render the services that they need to. We also facilitate cross-country recognition of qualifications and registrations and provide a dispute resolution avenue for aggrieved registered persons and members of the public as well. In terms of our value proposition to the industry, we give recognition to our voluntary associations and, of course, provide the avenue or the channel for unregistered persons to become registered. In terms of our value proposition to the government, we look to fulfill our mandate in terms of the Act. And then also, we want to make sure that we facilitate the development of the skills pipeline. So that ensures that in the next 10, 20, 30, 40, 100 years, that South Africa will have the professionals and the professionals who are properly qualified and properly skilled and properly experienced to work within the built environment and support the infrastructure requirements of the country. There are a lot of misconceptions about who we are. I often get calls from people saying, oh, please, I want to register for this training course. We are not a training provider. We do not provide any training courses. What we do provide with voluntary associations and organizations that we work with, if they have, we accredit their courses in terms of CPD. So if you are a registered person and we've accredited a course that has CPD hours, you can do that course and you will receive CPD hours for that course. But we do not present any courses or any training. A lot of times people think we're a construction company. We're not a construction company, but we work alongside the industry and construction companies that are within the industry, and we're not a recruitment agency. We don't provide jobs. We don't find jobs. If I could provide an example of what we do, I would liken it to when you get your driver's license. So what you would do is that you would go to, you do your tests and you study and you do your training and you learn how to drive properly, and then you go to the traffic department and you will do your test. And if you are deemed competent in terms of driving a car, if you know about the brakes and the indicators and the rules of the road, if you are deemed competent, you will receive your driver's license. And this driver's license is proof to everybody that you have done your test and you're competent and you know how to drive a vehicle safely according to the rules of the road in South Africa. And your registration is very much like that, your registration with the SACPCMP. Your registration proves to the industry that you have gone through the necessary requirements, your qualifications that you have and your skill that you have and your experience has been reviewed by an independent regulator, and you are deemed competent in terms of what you do. Just like when you go to get your driver's license, unfortunately, they don't give you a car. The responsibility of getting a car is your own. So that is the same when you get your registration. Unfortunately, we can't provide you a job, but your registration is your license to that job, that you are qualified and you are competent. So people will say, what are the benefits that I get from you? What benefits do we get from the SACPCMP? Public recognition by legislators is one of the key benefits. Your registration shows that you are competent, you've been duly verified and accepted by an impartial body that you are deemed in the fields that you are deemed to be competent in. And then once you are registered, you are then included in a national register or a database where other organizations can check to see that you are registered and you are in good standing in your registration that you say you are. So please note that our database, which can be accessed via the registration portals, I'll give those details to you shortly. Those are all POPI compliant. And so what can happen is if let's say you're working on a site or you want to hire somebody to work on a site, you can go to that database and you can check to see this person that you want to hire, are they registered? And if they are registered and in good standing, their name will come up on this database. Your registration also shows shows proof of continuous excellence. So this means that because through your registration, you have to be CPD compliant. This will show that you are continually sensitized to practices within your environment, to safety or environmental issues, that you keep on and you have to keep on increasing your knowledge throughout your period of as you are registered. You need to make sure that you know what's going on in the industry and you keep your knowledge up to date. It would be very dangerous for somebody who had studied, let's say, project management 100 years ago to walk into a construction site now and go, yes, I know exactly what's happening. I'm sure they don't know. They wouldn't know. We need to keep our knowledge up to date. And your registration shows that you're CPD compliant so that you are up to date. And then, of course, it provides employer surety. So the person that has hired you understands that as a registered person, you have a commitment and you have to abide by a code of conduct and disciplinary procedures in terms of your registration, your professional registration, that you abide by the highest ethical standards that are prescribed by the code of conduct. And then, of course, registration provides a recourse for unethical behavior. So in the event that somebody does something that they shouldn't as a professional, a registered person, they can approach the council, and there is a route in which the transgression, in which a person conduct unbecoming or misconduct, where that is proven, those persons can be removed from the public register. Another thing in terms of one of the benefits, and this is one of the things that the council is trying to work on relentlessly, is that we encourage the use of professionals within the industry. So where tenders come up, the council is continually working with industry, those companies in industry, to ensure that where tenders come up, they request that the professionals that they use are registered professionals. So this shows that if you are a registered professional, you are in good standing, you have the right to apply for those tenders, you have the right to be in those tenders, and we want to really, really push that to ensure that the professionals that are used on the projects that come up are competent in terms of what they need to be. What I'm going to do now is run through details of our registration system. Just get there. Is everybody still with me? Can you all still hear me?
Yes, Natasha.
Okay, super, thanks. All right, so as many of you will know, we recently updated our registration portal. We constantly have a number of changes that are going on in the portal to make sure that it's as streamlined as possible and it assists you in terms of your registration process. So when you want to, if you want to register with us, I'll go through those steps shortly. But the way in which you reach us online is we have a website, and our website is www.sacpcmp.org.za. And that's where you'll get general information about the council. There's also information on the website which relates to things such as tenders. So if there are tenders out there, we'll put the information on the website so people can apply. We also have a vacancy section, so please keep your eye on that for any vacancies that come up in the industry. Vacancies might not always be SACPCMP vacancies. We do get requests from construction companies to include some of their vacancies on our site as well. The registration portals that you would use, so when you want to become a registered person, if it's in the PCM stream, we have a PCM registration portal. There's one for construction health and safety, and there's one for building inspectors. I will share these presentations after the session, and we'll share the recording. There was an issue with the previous recording that we'd done, so unfortunately we couldn't share last month's recording, but we've sorted that out, so we will be able to share this recording, and we will be able to share these slides. So when you go to our website, this is what our website looks like. You'll also note at the top of the website that there are quick links to the CHS, PCM and BI portals. There's a quick link to the tenders page. If you need any information on gazettes or scope of services, you'll find that under policies and legislation. For events such as this one, the quick links, we always put them under the media and events section. And there are also details on registration and then our education portfolio. Please go through our website, but there's a lot of information about the council on the website to assist you in terms of if you're deciding to register or which stream you need to register in. We also have, as I mentioned, the registration portal. So this is the registration portal for projects and construction management. It'll look like this. This picture changes in the background, so it's not always the same picture, but the structure will be the same. And when you decide that you want to register, you will come to this portal. And you will see there'll be a registration or a login section. If you're already registered, you log in by clicking on the red button in the top right-hand corner. If you want to register, you can either click on this middle section, the call to action, or you can click on the registration button in the middle, and that will take you through to a number of pages. And what you'll be required to do, early in the morning, needs more coffee, is read the details on the site. Please read the requirements, read the experience that's needed. Please read the fees, see everything with regards to your registration. We often have people who will go and they will register and then they'll phone and they'll go, I've registered, where's my certificate? There are a number of requirements that are needed. You need to submit documents, we need to review those documents. In some cases, you'll need to do an exam or you'll need to do an interview. So please check to see what is required for your registration. Then once you familiarize yourself with the requirements, you click on the Register tab. You read the Code of Conduct, fill in your details. You'll need to make an application payment. And then very importantly, after you've done that, you will then receive an email with your login details and you set your password. And then you must need to log into your profile. And before you do anything else, you need to select your designation. Your registration is not going to move forward if you do not select your designation. So even if you make your application payments and you upload your documents, until you have selected that designation, your registration is going to stand still. When you log in, this is where you'll see on the bottom right-hand side of your screen, there'll be a section that says Apply for Designation. So you click onto that. So people go, but don't I have select my designation when I start my profile? When you create your profile, you will look to include a designation. But once that profile has been created, you again need to log into your profile and confirm that designation, because that confirmation will then kick off your registration within our system. When you want to log in, this is what the page will look like. Once you've registered, you put your username and your password in. If you have forgotten your password, because we all forget passwords many, many times, there's an email that you can contact or a phone number, but the easiest way would be to click on forget your password, and we will send your password through to you. So in the registration portal, one of the things that we've done, we used to have a separate portal for certificates, but we've now updated it. I still get people, please note, we do not use Privy Seal anymore for our certificates. We still have people saying, I'm trying to contact Privy Seal for my certificates. We stopped using Privy Seal about 2 years ago. Your certificate is now created directly within your registration portal. So the way to get your certificate, you'll see that under My Profile, you can view your certificate, your registration details, and you click and you download your certificate from your profile. You can also, with your through the registration portal, you can copy the SACPCMP logo into your signature on your email and create a link so that people can click on that link and it'll take them through to your certificate or your profile and show it, so it's proof of registration. If you need to change your password, please do so. You can also do so. These are the tabs that will come up. If you forget your password, you contact us. What we will do is we'll send you a temporary password, but it's going to be one of those A, B, capital F, kind of small c, 1 hashtag, which is very difficult to remember. So log in with that and please go and change your password to something that you will remember. Another thing that we have included on the registration system is your financial details are available to you. So a lot of times my invoice. Please look on your profile for your invoice, because chances are it's there and it's been waiting for you. So you don't have to wait for us to send an invoice to you or to send a statement. You can get it from your profile. So you click on your financial tab and you will see that there's an invoices and there's a statement section, and you can download your invoices or your statements directly from your profile. And what you can also do is you can pay your invoices directly through the profile. We have included a payment system within the registration system. So you go, you use a Visa or a debit card and you pay directly through the system. If you do pay, and the finance people will go through this, if you do pay via EFT, please remember to use your MM number, so your CHS number or your PCM number. Use that as your reference so that we can find your payment, please. For those that are writing exams, please keep an eye on the CHS portal. You'll see there's an exam date notice area where exam dates are put. If exams are not available, because what happens with exams is we open the exams a few weeks before the exam, we'll open the exam registration. So you can go and you can register for your exam and book and pay for your exam online. If you cannot access the exam section on your profile, it means that we have not yet opened it. So we will only open it for a few weeks before the exam, and then after the exam deadline, we'll close the booking portal for exams. So that's all that I have to say about that for now. What I'm going to do is I'm going to stop sharing my screen. I'm going to hand over to, sorry, I'm just going back to I'm going to hand over to our CPD department. They are going to run through the requirements and the details and the benefits of CPD. Following that, we will have a presentation by our finance department, and then we will have a Q&A session if you have any questions on what I've spoken about now or on CPD or finance. So Kucho, if I could please hand over to you, if you could introduce yourself and take it away.
Morning, everyone. How are you doing? Thank you, Natasha, for this time, and good morning to everyone. My name is Kucho Mokhetle, and I am the CPD coordinator at SACPCMP. And I hope you can see my screen.
Yes, we can see it.
Awesome. All right, I'm going to be talking about continuing professional development. And as Natasha has already said, explaining what SACPCMP does, It is also very important, once you are registered, it is very important to also know that CPD is only for registered professionals. So if you are a candidate, you don't have to worry about CPD at the moment, but it's good for you to know. But if you are registered as a professional with SACPCMP, it is important for you to know what CPD is all about and to make sure that you engage in CPD. All right, so what is CPD? CPD is the continuing professional development, which is the ongoing process of engaging in learning activities that will develop and enhance your skills as a professional. So as Natasha has already said, SACPCMP can be likened to the traffic department, where you obtain your driving license to prove that you are competent enough to be on the road, you know the rules, you know what to do and what not to do on the roads. So SACPCMP gives you that license, gives you that registration that says that you are qualified to be in the built environment. So what CPD does is that once you have been registered with the council, and remember that when you were registered, a lot of things were taken into consideration. Your qualifications, your skills, your experience were taken into consideration. And that is why you were given that license, that registration, that proves that you truly are competent. But what happens 5, 10, 15 years from now? How do we as SACPCMP ensure that you're still competent, ensure that you're still qualified to be in the built environment? That's where CPD comes in. So as a professional, you need to continuously develop yourself in the built environment, and simply because we're living in a world that is forever changing. And one of the perfect examples is COVID-19. Life before COVID-19 and life after COVID-19 is completely different. But it's not just COVID-19 that changes our lives. It's different things that happens, different machinery, equipment that get introduced every day. And that is why it is important for you as a professional to continuously grow. And as we're talking about CPD, as a professional, I normally say that you shouldn't look at CPD as a burden that SACPCMP is imposing on you, but rather as your own personal development in the industry, because the more qualified you are, the more skills you develop, the more experience you have, the better professional you become, better job opportunities, better salary scales and things like that. So don't look at it as a burden, but look at it as a personal professional development that you need in your profession. And it is very important to understand that CPD is regulated. It is a regulated mandate under Section 13K of the SACPCMP Act, which is an act of Parliament. So CPD is also one of the requirements that is there for the SACPCMP as per the act of the government. Natasha stated that the reason why SACPCMP is there, actually the main reason is to make sure that we protect the people, we protect the South Africans, we protect the public. So with CPD, now that I said that, by the time we registered you proved, or you were proven to be qualified and competent. So now to make sure that the public remains protected with the projects that you're working on, we need to be sure that throughout the years as a registered professional, you still are competent. Hence, it is part of the SACPCMP Act. So as I've already said with CPD, it is very important. We're living in an ever-changing world. We're living in a, fourth industrial revolution. There's so many things that you need to take into consideration right now, that what you studied in 1996 or 2004 has changed. The things that you used to do in 2006 might not be relevant in 2022. Hence, it is very important for you now to continuously learn, to continuously improve yourself and become a better professional in the built environment. So now, when we talk about CPD, what are we talking about? How is it calculated? It is very important to know that CPD has to be tracked, has to be traced, has to be documented. So we need to know exactly what has been happening in your life as a professional. And SACPCMP is using CPD. And the way we are able to track and trace your development as a professional is we're using a 5-year cycle. So once you are registered as a professional with SACPCMP, you're given 5 years to be compliant with CPD. What this means is that every 5 years, as a registered professional, there are certain things that you are expected to do in order for you to be compliant and to be certified as a professional that is safe to be out there and working in the public space. So you're given 5 years for that. And how it is calculated, it is calculated through the council's the year cycle. Sorry about that. The year cycle. So our year starts on the 1st of April, and then it goes to the 31st of March the following year. So the 31st of March every year is our year end. So that is how our CPD is being calculated. So it's going to be 1 year that will be from the 1st of April to the 31st of March the following year, and so on until it's 5 years. So if you were registered in October or November, for example, your CPD cycle will start in the next calendar year for SACPCMP. That will be the 1st of April. So if you got your registration last year around July, June, August, September, October, November, December, or early January this year, then your CPD cycle started on the 1st of April and it's going to run for 5 years. And it is important for you to engage in CPD activities in those 5 years, because what happens if you're not compliant by year 5, you will be given a 6 months grace period. It's called the remedial process. So you'll be given the 12 months grace period for you to be able to comply. And hence it is important for you to be purposeful about your CPD, to have a plan, to know what skills you like to acquire in the 5 years, to know what kind of experience you'd like to acquire in the 5 years. Because really, if you couldn't do it in 5 years, you might not be able to do it in 12 months. Hence, it is important for you to never find yourself in a position of being in a remedial process, even though it is helpful. But I would encourage you to make sure that within your 5 years, you are compliant. So if at the end of the 12 months grace period, you are still not compliant, in the 7th year, you are going to be suspended and eventually be deregistered from the council. And what this means is that you will now need to go through the registration process again. And I'm sure that is a process that nobody wants to go through. So it is very important for you to understand CPD, to be purposeful about CPD, and to know the goals that you want to reach within your 5-year cycle. Our CPD cycle also comes with CPD categories, and we have categorized them as category A, B, and C. And the reason is, as a CPCMP, we're using an input, output, and non-cumbersome approach. What this means is that the input, you are supposed to acquire knowledge in that 5 years, and then you are supposed to give out knowledge in that 5 years, but you're also supposed to practice in that 5 years. Non-cumbersome meaning that your CPD shouldn't be something heavy and very complicated. It should be something that you're able to do on a day-to-day basis. So that is category A, B, and C. Category A is your core knowledge. That is where you are supposed to study and acquire knowledge input. And then the mentoring phase now is when you have to develop someone else and pass through the knowledge that you have acquired over the years. And then ongoing practice, it is what you do on a day-to-day, on your day-to-day as you work as a professional. So to explain it further, category A is divided into 2 subcategories, which is core knowledge and non-core knowledge. So category A is basically your formal education. So you know that when you were accepted as a professional in SACPCMP, your degrees were taken into consideration. But now, if you want to further your studies, your master's, your PhD, your doctorates, those are all core knowledge. But under core knowledge as well, we also acknowledge short courses. We acknowledge formal general meetings and professional seminars and things like that. And normally, how I would explain the core knowledge is that core knowledge is any knowledge that is directly related to the built environment or to the construction industry. So this is your economics, physics, JBCC, NEC, and anything that is directly related to the industry or the built environment, that is core knowledge. And short courses are taken into consideration. And it is very important to also note that as I talk about short courses, it is always important for you to make sure that you are attending courses that are validated by SACPCMP. It is very, very important. And what this means is that if a course has been validated by the council, it means that the service provider, the institution, the school has provided us with the course material. We know who the presenters are. We know how the course was conducted. Therefore, we did all our quality checks, and we know that this course is relevant. The presenters are well informed, they are well learned in that particular subject. Therefore, we can confidently say that you learned something as a registered professional, of which if you are doing a course that has not been validated by the council, regardless of how expensive it was, regardless of how much knowledge you acquired in the process, as SACPCMP, we cannot quantify that. We cannot measure that. We don't know for sure. It could have been a certificate that you developed on your PC. We might not even know that. Hence, it is very important for you to make sure that whatever course that you do or CPD activity that you attend to has been validated by the council. And how do you know if a course or CPD activity has been validated by the council? We do have a list of those validated CPD activities on our website, but you can also reach out on the CPD desk to get the list and be 100% sure. You also need to do your own quality checks. The certificate that you're going to be getting should have an SACPCMP logo and an SACPCMP number, which is usually SACPCMP/CPD/ and the number. So without that number on your certificate, it means that that course was not validated by the council, and therefore it cannot be recognized for category A. Under category A as well, we have non-core knowledge. So non-core knowledge now will be the skills that you need as a professional, but they're not directly related to the built environment. This could be leadership skills or leadership courses. This could be public speaking, your computer courses, anything that is relevant to you as a professional, but is not directly related to the built environment can also be recognized under category A, as long as it is a formal qualification from a varsity or a college that has been SACPCMP validated, or courses that have been validated by SACPCMP. This is very, very important, because a lot of people will spend a lot of money and so much time doing a course that is not validated by the council. And when you submit it to us and we don't recognize it under category A, it becomes very, very painful, because you spent money, you spent time, but because we cannot quantify what you studied there, therefore, we cannot recognize it under category A, unfortunately. So it is very, very, very important for you to go for CPD activities that have been validated by the council. Category B now is mentorship and development. Now you need to take the information or the knowledge that you have to someone else, and there are different types of mentorship and development that you can do under category B. You can mentor a community, so you can decide to go to Tembisa, to Khayelitsha, to any township, and decide that you're going to mentor a group of people that you see the potential in them. You can mentor candidates, which is very, very important. You can mentor contractors, you can train contractors. You can also mentor informal staff. Like, for example, if there's someone where you're working, they're not registered with the council, they're not candidates, and maybe they're not even planning on registering with SACPCMP, but you see a potential in them and you want to groom them in a certain way, that is also acceptable under category B. So it is very important that as you are acquiring knowledge, you also pass through your knowledge to someone else. That is for category B. Category C now, it's ongoing practice. These are activities that are undertaken at site or at work. This could be your toolbox talks. If you ever serve as an assessor, a moderator, an examiner, this is where you get credited for doing all those kind of things. You get credited for being employed by your company. You get credited for working for the same company for 5 years, for 8 years. So this is the easiest. That is why we call it the non-cumbersome. It is not very complicated for you to get CPD hours for category C, because it's your ongoing practices, the things that you do day to day at work. And I'm going to touch on acceptable evidence towards the end of the presentation, but category C, it is actually the simplest category for you to acquire the required CPD credits. So how many hours do you need? How to be compliant at the end of 5 years? You will need 50 hours of CPD. It sounds complicated, but it's very, very easy to get 50 CPD hours within your 5 years. So now if you are a professional construction project manager, PRCM, PRCPM, CHSA, if you are a professional under SACPCMP, you're going to need 30 hours of CPD under category A, and then you need 10 hours under category B, and then you need 10 for category C. And then if you are under the CHS community, construction health and safety manager, construction health and safety officer, or build inspectors, then you're going to need 20 hours for category A, 10 hours for category B, and then 10 hours for category C. All in all, it has to be 50 CPD hours. And if it happens that you get 50 hours for category A only, you are still not compliant. You still need the 10 for category B and the 10 for category C, so that there is a balance. You are learning, you are teaching someone, and you are practicing. That is category A, B, and C. So you need to be compliant in each category. So now, as I was talking about different categories and the different subcategories, this is just an idea of what is acceptable as evidence for each category. And you will realize that most of this evidence, it's simple things that your HR manager can assist you with. With category A, if you've advanced your qualification, maybe you have your PhD right now, you'll have to submit your certificate or your qualification, and then you also have to submit your curriculum so that we can see what exactly you studied in that course. And then if you attended professional seminars or meetings or things like that, workshops, then you'll have to submit an attendance register or certificate, and so on. In category B, it's mostly appointment letters, it is mostly logbooks, and there's what we call a signed commitment and candidate program where you are mentoring candidates. You can get the forms from the CPD desk as well, and then you can also submit things like the CVs of the mentee for category B. So it's mostly the things that you can get from the HR, unless if it's a logbook or a commitment form that you have to submit for category B. For category C as well, it's mostly the things that your HR can help you with. If you are a moderator or an assessor or serving in any committee, you will need to provide an appointment letter. If you're a lecturer, you'll need to submit an appointment letter as evidence. If, for example, you've been working for the same company for 5 years or for 8 years, or you are employed as a professional, then you'll have to give us a letter of service to prove that indeed you're working for that company. And then if you do simple things like your toolbox trainings, you just have to submit your attendance register. So as you can see, these are not very complicated things. You just need to know what you need and how many hours for each category. And then once you submit the evidence on the system, as I will talk about the system a bit later, then you get your hours just like that. So we do have a CPD online portal. As Natasha has already showed you how the system works, you can get your financial reports, you can do your registrations there, but you can also manage your CPD online. You are able to upload the CPD evidence, as I was talking about, those letters, those CVs, those certificates, those attendance registers. You are able to do it at the comfort of your home or workplace on your PC. You can just upload any evidence that you have, any CPD evidence that you have, and you are able to also download a statement. So once you have uploaded your CPD evidence and we have actioned it from our side, you are able to view your statement and see how many more hours you still need for category A, how many more hours you still need for category B, and how many more hours you still need for category C. So you are able to plan your year, you are able to plan your 5-year cycle, and to know exactly what you still need to do within your 5 years. Under the CPD online portal as well, you're able to download CPD bundles. So I know a lot of people in the built environment, you are always out there. You hardly ever in the office, or you hardly ever have time to go and attend courses. So SACPCMP has video bundles where you can purchase the bundles online and you're able to view the videos at any time. You can watch them during the festive seasons, you can watch them during the weekend, you can do the assessments at the comfort of your home at any time. You can watch the videos as many times as you want actually, but you can only do the assessment 3 times, and you're supposed to get a minimum of 16 60 points, and then you're going to acquire your CPD bundles. And what is good about the CPD bundles is that they count towards your category A. And this is one of the cheapest options that you can do that is very convenient for you. So you're able to get your CPD bundles online as well. So once you have the evidence and you are on the system, you go to the CPD platform on the system. This is what you're going to see when you're uploading your records, and then it's going to say date. On the date, you're going to insert the date of the activity. So you don't insert today's date. If it is a toolbox talk that you did in January on the 28th, then you'll say 28 January 2022. That is the date you're going to insert there. On the title as well, you're going to put the title of the activity. So this is not your personal title. This is not where you write doctor or professor or Mr. or Mrs. This is the title of the activity. So if it was a toolbox talks on lifting heavy equipment, that's what you will write there. Toolbox talks for lifting heavy equipment. And then we will have a drop-down list there of the relevant categories. So if it's a toolbox talk, for example, that will be category C. If it is your PhD, it will be category A. If it was mentorship, it will be category B. And then you also have a subcategory depending on what you are uploading. For example, category C, we have unbroken work service, so you will choose the subcategory there, or were you a moderator, you'll choose a subcategory there, but it happens with category A, B, and C as well. And then with the hours as well, then you put the relevant hours for that CPD activity that you took. It could be complicated for different people, this one, but I normally say don't stress about it. If you think it's worth 13 hours, you can just put that 13. As the CPD coordinator and administrator, we will change it to the correct hours. So don't worry much about the hours, but it's good to give an indication. And when it comes to this tab as well, it is very important for you to note that you must only put the digits. So if it is 16 hours, just write 16. Don't write 16 hours or 16 HRS. The minute you put HRS or hours, then the system is going to reject your submission. So it is only just digits. And then you're going to attach the relevant documents. Your certificate will attach it. If it's an attendance register, you will attach it. If it's a letter from the HR, then you can attach it there as well. And then it is also very important for you to give a description of what the activity is about. It doesn't have to be long. It can just be 1 or 2 sentences just explaining to us what the activity was all about. This is an example of how it will look like. So it will have your date right there, and then it was a JBCC contract short course. It's category A, and that's the subcategory. The hours, as you can see, is just the digits, and then you have attached the course attendance certificate there, and there is a very, very short description, detailed training on JBCC contracts that is acceptable. So this is just an example for category A, but it is the same across board. All right, and then once in a while we have few people who could not do CPD for different reasons. It could be because you're retired now, you are in an advanced age, you can't drive around, you can't mentor people, you can't be learning, you're just too tired. You can apply for a CPD exemption if you qualify for retirement based on age. And if maybe you got a temporary withdrawal from professional practice, perhaps you lost a job or anything like that, but for some time you couldn't be working, or you couldn't be serving as a professional anyway, you can qualify for an exemption. And then as well, if you've been sick or you relocated or whatever the case might have been that prevented you from doing CPD, you can apply for a CPD exemption. So a CPD exemption exempts you from doing CPD for a year. So if, for example, you are retired, you want to apply for a CPD exemption, you can apply for CPD exemption for a financial year, which will be 1 April to 31 March 2022 to 2023. And then if you want to apply for an exemption, you have to do it again next year. You have to do it again the following year. So every year that you need an exemption for, you need to apply for an exemption. And the exemption forms can be found from the CPD desks as well. So you can just send us an email and request the CPD exemption documents. So that is the help desk I was talking about. You can email us at cpd@sacpcmp.org.za, and then that's how we can assist you from the CPD desk. It is very important for us to note that we do have a huge backlog right now, especially because it's our financial year and there is a lot of processing that we are doing. And as you might have already seen, we've also put out communication that we're going to be closing the system between today and the 14th of May, so that we can clear all the backlog, we can respond to all the queries as we are in our financial year end, and by May, every one of you will be knowing exactly where they stand with their CPD. If you are still not compliant, an extension will be given. So no one has to panic right now that they will be deregistered. No one will be deregistered at the moment. We just closing the system just to make sure that everybody gets to know exactly where they stand with the CPD, and where extensions are needed, they will be given to everybody. And if you're compliant, you're going to be moved to your to the next CPD cycle. So if you do not see CPD on your platform from today, please do not panic. We've closed the platform so that we can clear the backlog so that everybody will be up to date with the CPD cycle. That is the end of my presentation. I hope everything was clear. If you do have any questions, you can ask me through the Q&A or the chat box, and we will be more than willing to give you the relevant answers. Thank you, Natasha.
Thank you so much. That was super. That was really informative. Thank you. Good job. Before we move on to the finance section, which is going to be presented by Nokuthula Madlala, sorry, still seem to be needing more coffee. I would just like to let, please everybody, if you can get your diaries out and just take notes of the following dates. So could you mention some dates in terms of the system closing? So it'll be closing from, I think she said tomorrow until the 14th of May for CPD, so we can get our CPD updates finalized. Another date I'd like you please to make a note of is on the 26th of May. We have a webinar that's coming up. The webinar is an excellent way for you to get your CPD points in. It's a really cost-effective and it's a convenient online event. It's a great way for you to get your CPD. So please take note of that. That's the 26th of May. And then the last date I'd like you please to just take note of on the 17th of April, which is this Sunday, Easter Sunday. Please note that the council, we've just been notified that our system developers will be doing upgrades to the system. So on the 17th and possibly the 18th, you might struggle to access your registration portal. Hopefully you'll all be on holiday, so you won't have to access the portal. But if you do struggle a bit on the 17th and possibly the 18th in terms of accessing the portal or even submitting, making your payments, please note we do have upgrades going on. So it could be for that. I'm going to now hand over to Naku. Naku, are you ready?
Yes, I'm ready.
Okay, great stuff. Over to you. Thank you, Naku.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Nokuthula Madlala. I am from the finance department. I'll be just taking you through the service that we offer as the finance department. So finance department is a chain that links the steps through the processes. So we are kind of like a service department to the whole organization. We support the whole organization. Services that we offer is mainly issuing of invoices, allocation of payments, and issuing of renewal certificates. In terms of issuing of application invoices, exam invoices, and interview invoices, the system do post-payment invoicing, which means that members need to log into their profile. They need to log into their profile and follow the steps that I will take you through later on this presentation. and make payment, and then the system will generate an invoice depending on the service that you are applying for. It's either an exam or an interview. And we also do manual invoices. Manual invoices is mostly done for members that are already members who are in good standing. So we'll be doing manual invoices will be mainly for members who are renewing their annual membership. So these invoices are usually issued in bulk in December, and they are available on the portal from December, and members are able to make payment either via EFT or online. Okay, types of payments. We have got two types of payments that you can make. We can make payment via EFT. EFT will be making payment through to our main account, the Net Bank, and the account details are listed mostly on the invoice and the statement. And online payment, which is the Net Cash, which you will be accessing through your profile. Yes. Payment allocations. Payment allocations are done based on the bank statement and not on the proof of payment. So it means that when you send your proof of payment, if let's say you've made payment today, it doesn't mean that we can allocate based on proof of payment. We still have to wait for the bank to clear the amounts, and then we download the bank statement and we do the allocations. And for people that are paid for by their companies, we require that they send the remittance to show that the company is paying for them. Usually the remittance will be a letter on the letterhead stating that they've made a payment on this date and the name and the person that they are paying for. Because most of the time when when companies make payment, they usually put their name as the reference on the bank. So when we get the bank statement, we don't know who exactly they are paying for. So we require that they send us a remittance so that we can allocate the payment. And also to avoid where companies give their members the same proof of payment, claiming that they've made payment for different members, but they keep on giving them the same proof of payment. So we start allocating payment. We'll be allocating the same payment to different people. So in those instances, we require that the company give us a remittance so that we allocate the payment to the correct member. And allocations are done mostly bi-weekly, so twice a week, depending on the volume of the payments that we are receiving. We try to make payments to do allocation as often as possible so that members can access their profile and receive their updated certificates and view their financials so that they know where they stand in terms of their finances. Okay. If ever members have failed to make payment on their annual invoices, so this will be for members that are already registered, not new members. A penalty of 10% will be charged on the outstanding amount if your invoice is more than 3 months old and no payment has been received on that invoice. A 10% interest will be charged on that invoice. And if you still have not paid your invoice for more than 18 months, you'll then be due for deregistration. That means you'll be cancelled as a member. Then you have to restart the process by doing an application and going on for exams and interviews. Or you can also ask for a reinstatement where your documents will be required and will be assessed, and then you'll be given in reinstatement invoice. Before all this process takes place, before we issue penalties or we do a deregistrations, most of the time we will send emails to our members reminding them of the outstanding balances, reminding them to do payments. We'll always try to make you aware that you actually have an outstanding balance, or you are due for deregistration due to non-payment, or anything that we have as finance. We always try to make you aware by sending emails, and sometimes we send SMSs. Okay, the finance department only issues renewal certificates. We do not issue new registration certificates. So if you are a new member, you'll have to log into the profile and do a payment, and then the registration department will issue you with your certificate. But for people who are already members, the finance department usually give those certificates. So once payment has been received and allocated to your profile will be updated, and the members can log in and retrieve their certificates from their profile. And the certificates that we issue are only valid from the 1st of April to the 31st of March. So our certificates don't run from Jan to December. It's the 1st of April to the 31st of March. So once members have fully paid their fees for the current year or the previous year, a new invoice will be raised when it's due so that members avoid deregistrations and the late penalties. So we advise members to do payments as soon as possible, as soon as they get their invoices, to avoid a late penalty fee and also to avoid deregistration. Okay, now I'll be taking you through the process that of retrieving your invoices from the profile, and also how to download your statement and also how to make payment online. Yes. So in order for you to download your invoice or statement, you have to log into your profile. And once you have logged in your profile, under my profile, you click on view your registration details, and then it will show a screen with it has written in red words, and then you click on financials. And once you're on financials, you scroll down and you'll see what's in the highlighted with a blue banner. You click on view in customer zone. Once you click on view in customer zone, it will give you a new browser, and then you go to a new browser, and then in the new browser you have it will list all the documents that you can retrieve from the system, which will be your invoice, your statement, your credit notes, and it will also allow you to make payment online. So to download your invoices, once you have viewed in customer zone and it gives you the list of detailed of documents that you can download, you can click on invoices. And then once you've clicked on invoices, it will list all the invoices that are on your profile. And then it will show you on the side when you look at the invoices which invoices are paid and which invoices you can still pay. And then you can also view your invoices. Once you click on view, then it will download your invoices, and then you can save your invoices on your laptop or where you want to save it. And then you can also do payments on the portal. So to do a payment on the portal, you have to log into your portal, and then you go through the steps that I just showed you, and you log into your you go to your finance. And then on the financial, you also click on the view in customer zone. And then once you've clicked there, you can still have the invoices. And then you click pay now. It will take you through to the payment portal. So on the payment portal, it will give you options of how to make payment. But before you go there, you have to choose that you want to pay online. You click on the button that says pay online. On top there, it will show you the amount that you will be paying. So the amount that you wish to pay, it will be written on top. And then you choose pay online, and then it will show you that you are paying using net cash. And if you agree, you proceed to pay. Click on the green button. And then from there, you will choose the form of payment that you would like to do. So we've got credit card, instant cash, scan to pay. So depending on what, if you have a credit card or a debit card that you can use, or if you want to do an instant EFT where they will send you an OTP to your phone, and then you follow the link like when you do payments with your bank online. Or you can also do a payment via Visa. And then from there, if you click on the step from there, it will take you through to the normal payment process where you click and you put in your details, your bank card, you put in your CVV numbers, all those kind of things that you do when you're paying online. And that is it from the finance. Before I leave, for general inquiries, you can send your proof of payments or your financial queries to debtors@sacpcmp.org.za. For PCM invoices, we've got Polani on Finance PR. CHS invoices, we've got Finance, it's Fortune at SACPCMP. Payment allocation, we have Usbongile, junior accounts at sacpcmp.org.za, and then net cash allocation, it's Noktula Madala at SACPCMP. Or any finance related queries, you can send them through to details. And thank you. Back to you, Natasha.
Thank you very much, Noktula. I'm taking over the session on behalf of Natasha. Yeah, according to our program, we should be having a session now for questions and answers. So we've allocated a little bit of time for anyone who may have questions, so that our team who's on the call today can assist us with any of your questions. If you have questions that we can't get to immediately with the team here now, then you can type your question in the chat box as well. Does anyone have any questions? You just raise your hand and then we'll give an opportunity to speak if you've got questions. Okay, we've got a hand from Dean Limper. You can go ahead, Dean. I see you on mute. I'll just see if I can unmute. Okay, go ahead, Dean. I've unmuted your mic.
Hi, good day. I don't know if this is the right time to ask this question. Should I maybe wait until later? But I've got a question with regards to if I am registered for the wrong category. How do I go about deregistering for that and registering myself in the correct category?
Okay. I'm going to ask our representative, Lindy Baloy, to answer that question. I think it's fine. We will do the registration presentations coming up, but I think we can answer that question. Lungi? Lungi, are you with us?
Sorry about that. I was just having troubles with unmuting. Okay, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
All right. Okay. For that, you will need to send us an email with that request for deregistration. And then once we've done the deregistration, then you can reapply in the correct category that you need to be registered in. Then it means that you'll go through the processes for that category, and if you meet the requirements and you've done all the steps and processes, then you'll be registered in the category that you want to be registered in. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for that. Just a more direct or more detailed explanation is I'm currently registered as a candidate PCM. I need to be registered as a CM. Do I have to register as a candidate CM again, or can I then just apply directly because I've got enough experience, enough time, enough of, all this stuff is fine. I can just register directly as a CM or go for the interviews and stuff like that. Do I have to go through the candidate process again, or is that not necessary? Thanks.
Dean, I think maybe if I can ask you, Are you referring to you want to upgrade to CM now?
I'm referring to I am registered as a candidate
Yes.
project construction manager.
Okay, so you want to now register as a professional construction manager?
No, I don't want to register as a project construction manager. I just need to register as a CM.
Yes, yes, that's what I mean. As a
Yes.
professional, not as a candidate.
Yes, but I can't register. I am registered as a candidate PCM.
Yeah. Okay.
But I can't register as a PCM. I can only apply as a CM due to my experience, construction experience. I don't have engineering experience or consulting experience.
Okay. Lungi, if you can take that question.
Yes, thank you. Well, in that case, yes, you don't have to start in the candidate for CM. A construction manager, and then go through the processes. There is no need for you to first be a candidate. If you feel you meet the requirements, then that will be also assessed through the assessment process on our side. And if you meet the requirements, then you'll get the registration as a professional construction manager.
Awesome, thank you. I will then just be sending the email through for the cancellation, and then obviously need to follow the process for a new registration for CM.
Great.
Thanks.
Okay, and we've got Ridwan. Sorry, I'm just going to go with the names that are on the as they appear on Teams. You can unmute your mic, Ridwan. Ridwan, you're going to have to unmute to be able to speak. Okay, it looks like we're not getting through to Ridwan. Anyone else have any questions? Please raise your hand, or you can type your question in the chat box. Then we can assist you also with answers in the chat box. I see Ravin Naidu. Just unmute your mic so that you can speak.
Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning. Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, great. Natasha, I mean, my question refers to the registration and application process, and I may be jumping the gun, but I'm quite desperate at this time because I applied on the 27th of Feb. My application is in the system. I've tried several times calling the office, all the listed numbers, no one replies. And I've made contact with admin. I've used the admin email, and I've tried even this morning several times to get the administrative review undertaken. I'm not getting the response, that is needed, because I looked at my application. It meets the administrative requirements, and I'm quite desperate at this time. So I'm kind of urgently, and I'm maybe desperate in the situation, to reach out to you and the team, if anyone that could just assist and to get the administrative review process approved and move to the next step, please, if you could assist in any way, Natasha.
Ravin, I will request Lungi. Lungi, please can you take the details of Mr. Naidu so that we can check what is the holdup, so that his application can be processed as soon as possible. If you can just give us your, if you don't mind, your email address, so that we can then follow up directly with you. Lungi, please. Okay. Okay, I don't see any other hands up anymore.
Sorry, Natasha, who do I direct it to?
To
Lungi?
Lungi. Yes, so your email address, Lungi, if you can just put it in the chat box, then they can direct the query to you so that you can check what the issue is.
I would appreciate. Thank you, Lungi. Thank you, Natasha.
Okay, we've got another hand here from Admire. I'll just, okay, you can unmute so you can ask your question. But just note that we are doing a presentation on the registration process, and if there are any specific to registration, we are going to have a question and answer session after we do our registration presentations for each stream of registration. So if it's finance related and CPD related, I would encourage you to rather ask those questions for this session now, and then we'll address the registration questions when we do those presentations. Any finance or CPD related queries? Okay, I don't see any hands up for that in particular, so I would then request that we move then to the next presentation, which is on construction health and safety registration. Over to you, Lungi.
Thank you, Cindy. Sorry. Okay. Let's do feedback. Okay. Am I audible?
Yes, you're audible, but we're just getting a reverberation, so I'm just disabling some of the mics so that we don't have that reverb anymore. You can go ahead. Thanks, Lungi.
Okay, thank you. I will be presenting in terms of the professional registration for construction, health and safety. Can you see my screen?
Sorry, Lungi, your sound is we're still getting, there's still an issue with your sound, and we can't see your screen either. I don't know whether, okay, now we can see your screen, but the sound is a bit of a problem. Maybe if you have a headset that you can use, I'm not quite sure what the issue is there.
Okay, does it sound better now?
No, it hasn't improved. I'm not sure what the issue is. There's feedback. I don't know if you may be near someone who's also connected to the link. That might be a problem.
Trying to. Okay, it seems to be better now. All right, thank you. I think
Yes, it's better. Much better, Lungi. And we could see your screen, so you can continue.
okay. All right. I'll be presenting with regards to the professional registration for the construction, health and safety, and also construction, building inspectors.
Yes, just share your screen again, Lungi, please.
It's gone again. Okay, all right. It's coming right now. Okay. Can you see my screen?
Yes, thank you.
All right. So in terms of this registration, I'll be talking more into construction, health and safety, but also with a bit of information or more background in the building inspectors, being one of the latest registration that the council offers, in addition to the other two that we already have. So as you can see, we have the three health and safety registrations, which ranges from the construction health and safety agent, and then followed by the construction health and safety manager, and then it's the construction health and safety officer. All these three also have the candidate registrations that are now open for registration, so you can apply directly for any of the three in the candidate categories. We'll see later as to what are the requirements for those and how would you make the application to meet the prerequisites in terms of educational requirements. And then in addition to that, we have the two, which is the certified building inspectors and the professional building inspectors, which we've also taken on board. So the assessment process goes in this system to say when you made your application, which the application you make on the system, as it was said earlier, as to we have the three portals that you can make your application for. So when you go to the construction health and safety portal, the first process will be you making the application. On the application process, it's where you will put in your details. And then once you've done your details, you make the payment of the application depending on the category that you're applying for. And then that will be supplemented by the supporting documents that you will upload into your profile. Once that is done, from our side, we start with the second process, which is the verification process. The verification process includes us looking into your application itself, also looking into your documents if they meet the prerequisites. So at this time and moment, we might not be necessarily going into the content of your submissions, but mostly looking into the things that we need. For example, we'll be looking into your educational qualifications copies, whether they're certified, whether they match what you've put in the application. If everything is certified, if it's reports, we'll be looking into do they cover all the areas that needs to be covered in those reports? If it's your CV, does it include all your information? So that's the verification process. Normally, or on most times, this is where the back and forth between us and yourself will be, where we'll be asking you to maybe fix something and then come back to say you fixed it. And then once we've done with that process, we'll get to the assessment process. The assessment process, it differs in terms of the different categories as to what you're applying for. So for candidate categories, for example, it's assessed by one assessor. And then in terms of the construction health and safety agents and managers, we have three assessors. which are independent of each other. They look into your application and make their recommendations. And then the officers, construction health and safety officers, were looking into us, two assessors who are also assessing independently. And then if they agree in terms of the outcome, then we'll send you the outcome of the next step, which might be the exam or the interview. But before that, in some cases, your application might have to be subjected to moderation, which also emanates from a variance in terms of the assessment that is done on your application. So once you've done that, for construction health and safety managers and construction health and safety officers, the next step becomes the exam, which is prepared by council, and you will make the booking for it. Currently, bookings are made online on your portal. So we'll send you an outcome letter that says yes, you can book your exam, and then make payment for it online. So we'll also give you the steps as to how do you do that. To make the booking, you'll choose the dates as and when they become available, and then do the sitting for your exam. And then in terms of the construction health and safety agents, for that you undertake an interview. Also for that, interviews are booked online on the system. So the same profile that you created at first, or when you start with the process, is the one that you continue with. So we'll tell you to say yes, now Mr. So and so, you can go for your interview, and then you can make a booking for the date and time that it's suitable for you, depending on the dates that we have. And once that is done, the next step becomes the registration process, whereby if you're successful in any of the two, we'll send you the outcome to say, okay, successful, and then you can pay the registration and annual fee. That's where also the accounts department will come, as they specified. They'll come in making sure that your payment is allocated and you've made the payment online. And then once that is done and all the necessary checks are done on our side, the registrations department will furnish you with your registration certificate, which will also be virtual on your profile. So the next slide actually looks into one of the key things that we've identified in terms of the reports that come to the council. So the key thing is to say, avoid not bringing or submitting your own work. We've realized that at most times we get across reports that are copied in terms of the content, and then it becomes a problem because now it shows that most people are not reporting on their own work. So the emphasis here is that please do your own work, write your own reports, use your own words, and that will also help in the council understanding, also the assessors understanding your knowledge and experience in your reports. Because the moment now it becomes that it's a copy of another report, it brings a lot of questions into your credibility, as to say, do you really know the work, or you basically piggybacking on someone's work. This is the next slide basically shows the interim qualifications for construction health and safety that I think most of people who were already in our database by mid last year have received, in terms of the qualifications framework that is considered for registration. So I won't go into detail with it, as we'll be sharing these slides. You'll also look into that as to which qualifications council now recognizes in terms of you qualifying for registration in the construction health and safety registration. And then also, for those that are going for construction health and safety agent registration, the qualifications framework also covers them. But also to note is that there are qualifications in the built environment that might qualify you for registration in the construction health and safety field. For example, if you look into the slide, it's talking mostly in the BSc construction management, engineering degrees and honors degrees, and then the BTechs in architectures and building. So if you have that, and you will need to have done other programs that are aligned with construction health and safety for you to qualify to register in the category. Of course, that will also be coupled with the years of experience that you need to have, which for health and safety agents, you will need to have a minimum of 3 years working as a health and safety agent, meeting those deliverables as per the scope of services. So for more information on this, you can also contact us for if you maybe have more questions into which exactly are the programs that can supplement these qualifications, which are not necessarily in the health and safety field, but they are more into the built environment field. In terms of our candidates, as I mentioned, that we have in health and safety, we have 3 candidate registrations emanating from the agents until the officers, agents, managers, and officers. So once you're registered in those, we'll expect you to maintain your logbook throughout your candidature period. So what will happen is once assessment is done, you will be recommended a minimum candidature period that you should be a candidate for until you can or you may upgrade your status to a professional status. So that candidature period, you should be submitting your logbooks annually, and these will be assessed by council, and then we'll give you feedback as to what is the outcome in terms of where you are in your exposure in the deliverables or the 6 knowledge areas, no, the 6 stages of the project. So we'll be giving you guidance each and every year when you be submitting your logbook, and then you will need to be working under the supervision of a professional construction health and safety agent or construction health and safety manager who will be signing off your logbook and also undertaking the mentor to say they are mentoring you. So once that is done, say your candidature period has ended, on the last year of your candidature period, we'll say, yes, you can upgrade, but this is not automatic. This will come from the outcome of the assessment of your logbooks. We'll not just say upgrade just because your candidature period has ended, but it will be more of looking at the deliverables of your logbook. That's what will determine that outcome to say, yes, you can upgrade. Once we say you can upgrade, the very same profile that you have, you will have to log on to it, upload all your documents, also your logbook, which will be your final logbook. And then make payment of the application fee for the professional or for the officer or the manager registration. And then once that is done, we'll get through the assessment phase where we start with the verification, and then it's the assessment. And then if you are successful in that, you get to the exam or interview, and then it's registration. So all those stages, as I said before on one of the previous slides, that's what the structure of your assessment will be. It will be the same. So we've identified some of the things that basically slow the registration process, because we've realized that most candidates do not see the need to submit their logbooks, or they just fail dismally to submit their logbooks, seeing the rate of the logbooks that are being submitted annually compared to the number of candidates that we have. There is a mismatch there, because people do not understand why they need to submit their logbooks. At other times, it's a matter of mentorship. The mentorship that people are getting is not in line with what they should be, the deliverables of the 6 project work stages. And other than that, it's the exposure or the lack of support from their employers that makes the registration process a bit slow. Looking at our statistics, we have a lot of candidates who have actually gone over even twice or 3 times from their minimum candidature period that they were given. And we've realized that most of them have these kind of challenges. So the key thing here is to say, please, if you're a candidate, submit your logbook. The council will provide the support that is needed in terms of looking into your exposure at the time and how can they assist, or actually even guiding you into what you should be doing better where you are at that time and moment, and then that would help you in upgrading your professional status. So talking about the exposure, the key thing is these 6 project work stages apply to all our registered people in all categories. But then the difference would be the exposure, which are the stages that one should be involved in a specific category. So we have these 6 project work stages. Our construction health and safety agents must be exposed to all the 6 stages. So I'll repeat that. Construction health and safety agents are involved in all the 6 project work stages. Hence, even when the assessment is done and even when your logbook comes, the expectation is that an agent should be exposed in all the 6 project work stages, which is different for mostly your managers and officers, as they are mostly involved in the later processes, or I would call them the physical processes on site most of the times, which probably start at about stage 4 at times, or stage 5 and 6, depending on the environment that they are in. So that is the difference, and that should be seen when the assessment is done. Also, when it comes to your interview, if you're going for the health and safety agent registration, you will be expected to be exposed in all the 6 project work stages. Not saying that the other 2, the health and safety managers and officers, will not be involved or might not be exposed in some of the things happening earlier. But the key thing is the health and safety agents are the ones who are responsible for all the stages from inception to completion. And hence we need to see that in their submissions to make sure that they meet all the requirements for registration and they can be granted the license to work as health and safety agents. So these are just some of the notes in terms of the health and safety agent interviews. We always make sure that the panel consists of no less than 3 individuals, and the interview is based on those stages that we've just spoke about on the previous slide. Your role from inception to completion. So also that is key, because we are looking into your role, not what someone does, but what you do as a health and safety agent. So I always say that you need to be sort of selfish on this. Because you must talk about what you're doing as a health and safety agent, and it must show your lead role in your job, because that's what the panel will want to see: your hands-on experience, your problem solving and decision making processes that you use to ensure that the project becomes successful. So That is key. So also the examinations for health and safety measures and officers also goes through the 6 project work stages, because you need to understand the earlier processes. You might not be involved, but you need to understand what you are managing. Even if you are inside, you need to understand what was done for the site establishment to get where it is. So it is key to have an understanding of what is happening on all the stages, because that will help you in implementing what you need to do on site. If you are an officer on site, do you understand what was the planning that came about to get to where you are on site? Because the process didn't start where you are, but it already started from stage 1. So the understanding of that will also help you in making it in the examinations and making sure that you get the registration. So that is the process that happens in terms of booking of the examinations. You go to your profile, you have to book and pay online. We are ensuring that exams and interviews are happening on a monthly basis. So be on the lookout for those dates on the system, because we always publish those on the system. So it will be wise to be always checking when the next dates would be. So in terms of the interview outcomes, these are some of the interview outcomes that you might have after going for a health and safety agent interview. You can be approved for registration. If it's not that, you might be provisionally approved. Provisionally approved basically means that you need to do something, or you need to submit something, or you need to undertake maybe a course to enhance your understanding on something. And then once you have done that, you provide it back to the council, and the panel will assess, and then the panel will decide whether they grant you the registration or you still have to do something. Or you might be told to gain further relevant practical experience for a specific period of time. So that will be also, the reasons for that will be detailed to you as to why, and you are told that. Or if you are a candidate, they might say remain as a candidate for a specific minimum period of time. Or in other cases, they might not approve your registration. So we also have the appeal process, where if you feel aggrieved by the outcome of your interview or your assessment, you can appeal to us within 30 days. So you can write to us with the intent to appeal, and then the process will start there. There's also an appeal fee that is applicable that you'll have to pay before your appeal is undertaken. And then you can, once all the processes are done internally, you will be notified as to what's the process going forward, and you have a right to have legal representation to the panel, or you can present your appeal yourself. So appeals are done in person, and then that will be it. So basically that marks the end of my presentation, and then I'll hand back over to Ms. Kwenete. Thank you.
Thank you, Lungi. Sorry, I'm going to jump in here. Thank you very much for that. That was very informative. I'd like to open up for questions now. So if you have a question, please raise your hand. And while we are waiting for people to raise their hands, Lungi, our first question, which is in the chat box, is: must your 6 stages be of one project only, or can your challenges and successes be from different projects? And this is for CHSA.
All right, thank you for that question. Okay, so this is how we structure our reports. So you can have your successes on a specific project, and then have your challenges on a different project. So because the key thing is to see your involvement in a specific project. If it's on a success report, the successes that you've had on that specific project, and what have you done to ensure that your project is successful. So it will be helpful for it to be honest on one project. If it's your successes, it's on one project, and then you can choose another project for your challenges, because also there they will need to see your decision making, your problem solving skills. What have you done? What were the challenges? How did you mitigate those challenges to ensure that the project doesn't collapse, and at least it becomes better than it would have been? So you can choose one project for your successes, choose another project for your challenges. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Lungi. Are there any other questions? Any hands? I can't see any hands. No other questions. Okay. We will be having another Q&A session after the PCM section. So I think then let's just move straight into the PCM section. Lungi, if I can hand back to you for that.
How's it?
Okay. All right. We'll be going to the PCM registration, professional construction managers. So also on that, we have the following categories. We have the 2, which is the professional construction manager, and the professional construction project manager. We also have the candidate categories for the 2, which also have direct applications. And then in addition to that, we have your professional construction mentors and your construction mentor. So later on, I will be explaining the differences into these, because I've realized that there's also some confusion in some of them. So the very same process in terms of the application or the route to registration is the same for all our registration categories. So you start with the application, which is done online. We verify, as I said, this is where we check your documentation. The next stage will be the assessment stage, and then we get to the interview stage. The reason here we're talking about only the interview is because our professional construction managers, professional construction project managers, professional construction mentors, and construction mentors only undergo interviews. So we do not have exams, but we only do interviews for those. And then once you're successful on that, the next stage will be the registration process, which right now I think we're taking about 4 weeks at most to complete. So this is the criteria for registration. So here we're talking about recognized qualifications. So it's a bit straightforward, because we are talking about qualifications in the built environment. Hence, we are not specific into which qualifications, but I think it's also key when you go to our website, there is specific qualifications that are specified there in terms of our accredited qualifications, which are in the built environment, which are suitable for registration. So for professional construction managers and professional construction project managers, if you have an honors degree in a built environment field of study, the minimum years of experience that we will need from you, it's 4 years. So we are talking about postgraduate relevant practical experience. Postgraduate, so after acquiring your degree, you will need to have worked for 4 years as a construction manager or as a construction project manager. That's what we mean by relevant practical experience. And then with a BTech qualification, The years will be 5 years, a national high diploma will be 6 years, and then the national diploma will need post-graduation relevant practical experience of 7 years. And then in terms of candidate registration, which is a direct intake, with an honors degree, you don't need to have postgraduate relevant practical experience. And then with a BTech, you need a year at least. A national diploma, it's 2 years, and then a national diploma will be 3 years. Although this does not mean that if you do not meet the minimum years of experience, we will not register you as a candidate. But what might happen is that your minimum candidature period might be longer because you will have to meet the prerequisites. So if you look into the two, you look at the requirements for professional and for candidates, they actually talk to each other, because if you're a candidate working right now in construction management or construction project management and you have an honors degree, your minimum candidature period will be nothing short of 4 years, which is the minimum candidature period of going into professional registration. So that's how the two are linked. So your candidature period will lead into your professional registration. That's how it's worked out. Hence, the key thing is when you apply, your CV should clearly outline what you are doing or what you have done. So if you look at our CV template wizard, which is available on our website, it has emphasis on your career and work history, because that's where most of the assessment is done, to look into your exposure, what have you been doing, and what could be your minimum candidature period based on where you are at the time of application. So another thing to note is that if you are applying, you need to have at least worked or practiced locally for a minimum period of 12 calendar months before we can register you. So say, for example, you outside you are not from South Africa and you need to register, you need to at least have worked in South Africa for about 12 calendar months. So in terms of professional construction mentor, you will need to have a minimum of 10 years experience in the construction industry at the senior management level. Another thing to note is that you must be registered in one of the Built Environment Professions Acts. I think on the opening presentation, it was noted that we have 6 Built Environment Professions Councils. So that's what we mean when you say you must be registered. So you must be registered with one of our sister councils that are in this under the CBE for you to qualify for professional construction mentor. So basically, that's the minimum qualification. Your registration in one of the 6 councils will be the first thing, and then 10 years of experience in the construction industry, and this must be at a senior management level. I will explain as to why is the need for the senior management level. This is because professional construction mentors, they are not mentors for candidates, but they mentor emerging contractors and SMMEs. Hence the need for the experience at a senior management level, because you must be able to also help emerging contractors in utilizing their skills better and guiding them. That is why. And then for the construction mentor also, you will need to have been registered in one of the Built Environment Professions Councils, and then also have a minimum of 10 years experience in the construction industry. Also, this must be at the senior level. The difference between the two is mainly the exposure as to who are you mentoring. As you know, these emerging contractors have different gradings. So that is why also the difference also goes into that, to say the professional construction mentor can mentor all the gradings, but the construction mentor has some limitations into which gradings they can mentor. So also the involvement in terms of the project work stages is the same. We are talking about the 6 project work stages of a project from initiation until closeout. So in terms of construction project management or the registration for construction project managers, the difference is that your construction project managers will be involved in all the 6 project work stages from inception until completion. But your professional construction managers or your construction managers, since we also have the candidates registration, will be involved in the probably in the 3 last stages of the construction process. So that is the difference between the two. So the construction project manager is involved from inception to completion, but the construction manager is involved in the physical processes on site. So this we are talking about the implementation of the project. When now say the project is happening, we're breaking ground, that's when now the construction manager comes in. So this is the criteria that is used in terms of assessment once you lodge your application for construction project manager or construction project management. So educational qualifications will already score you about 35 marks. And then if you have any membership of professional associations or registered with any of the other council, but you have about 10 marks there, which now you already have 45, and then your years of experience gives you about 5 marks. In your project profile, it's 5 marks. And to note that you don't need a total of 100 to get to the interview stage, but you need a minimum of 60 for you to qualify to get to the interview stage. So already on the first 4, you already have about 55 points, and you're just shy of just 5 to get into the interview, which I feel it's a bit easy. So if you capitalize on the first 4, there should be no reason for you not to get to the interview stage. And then now getting into project reports, if you have done your reports well, and then the key thing there, if you look at 5C and D, for project managers, it talks about your competence as principal consultant and your competence as principal agent, and your technical competence, which have the highest marks there, because that is key. That is what they look into, your competency. And then if you're a kind of construction manager, that will be looking into your coordination of construction processes and your knowledge and understanding of construction contracts, which are also the key deliverables for a construction manager. So already on that, I would say if you've done that well, you should by that time have the 60, and by the time we get to your CPDs and all, it will just be your bonus marks. So after the assessment, they can say you proceed to a professional interview. That's if you scored the 60 or more. Or they can say gain further relevant practical experience, or it might be an issue that you have to go through the RPL route. This will mean that you do not have the required educational qualifications, but you have the necessary experience as a construction project manager if you're applying for that, or as a construction manager. So there is a route that we call the recognition for prior learning that is designed for instances like this, where someone doesn't have the educational qualifications, but they do have the experience, which at the moment is rated at a minimum of at least 10 years practical relevant experience. or it could be that they say your application is not approved completely. Then getting to the interview, this is the scoring that is used at the moment, which also you need a minimum of 60 for you to get the registration. So it will be your general presentation, your technical competency, then those two also come again, the principal consultant and principal agent competency, which for construction managers is replaced by the same coordination of construction processes, your problem solving skills in dealing with the site, and then also your construction contracts, the understanding and managing of those. And then that getting to 60, then if you get to 60, you will be approved for registration. Or it might be an issue where they say there's certain documentation that they'll request from you. That will be the provisional approval. And then once you've met the requirements, you get the registration. Or you can be asked to gain further relevant practical experience. Or if you're a candidate, they say remain for a candidate, gain experience. But on all of this, the reasons will be specified as to why the panel is taking that decision. So you'll be not left in the dark, but you will be told what are the shortcomings of you remaining as a candidate or of you not being approved. Will always give you the outcome in that note. So in terms of candidates, if you're a registered candidate, we need you to submit your logbook annually. And then this logbook must be signed by your mentor, because your mentor must undertake and declare that they have been mentoring you and then give you the necessary guidance that is needed in terms of transferring their skills to you. So once you've received your logbook, the last year of candidacy, if you do meet all the prerequisites and there's that history that shows that, yes, you have met all the requirements, you'll be asked to upgrade. And then the very same process will apply where you have to go to your profile, the same profile that you have, make an application for professional registration, include your logbook, and then it will be assessed. If you are successful, you are called for an interview. And then if your interview is successful, you pay the registration and annual fee, and then the registrations department will process your new registration, which will be available to you in about 3 to 4 weeks. So the same thing applies also to the construction and project and construction management registration. The very same things that slow registration processes happen. The failure to submit the logbook annually, or the understanding of why they should submit the logbook, and then the issue of mentorship, lack of adequate support from the employer, or just the exposure in the competencies required. So you find that someone is working as a construction project manager, but they are only exposed to stage 6 of the projects always. So it means that they are not getting they're not getting exposed to all the other competencies that they should, for them to meet the requirements and be able to submit their logbook. And then also, we have incorrect payment reference numbers, as now we're talking about the slow registration process. So you find that someone has made the application, but they didn't use the correct reference number. I'm going to find that the application, maybe it's stuck because it's not allocated, and then it cannot go through to the other stages. And then also the issue of incomplete documents, whereby once we're doing our verification, we find that documents are missing, and then we revert back only to find that sometimes it takes a long time for us to get the necessary documents. So you find that now the application process itself is already extended because of those instabilities. So this is the time frames that we are committing to say, after we've pre-assessed your application and everything is in order, your payment has been made, the assessment process from all the reviews. So we're just talking about the assessment process from the moment that we say yes, your registration can proceed. We've done the verifications. In not more than 3 months, we should have been done with the assessment process, and we'll revert back to you as to what is the outcome. And then in terms of the interviews, as I said, we publish dates. So once within these 3 months, we say, okay, no, what's your outcome? You should come for an interview. Then it's solely based on you to say, when do you book? Once you are ready, you make the booking and make the payment. And then what we strive for is that we post dates as and when they become available, and also mindful that we need to have a panel. So it also depends on that. That's why we can't just have interviews at any time, but it depends on the availability of the panel. So, and once you've passed your interview exam, within about 3 weeks, once we've received your payment and it's allocated within 3 weeks, we'll allocate your registration number, and your registration certificate will be available on your profile for downloading. So the same appeal process, if you are not happy with your outcome, you may lodge an appeal within 30 days, and then this must be accompanied by a motivation letter, also supporting documents why you're making the appeal, and then we'll invoice you for the payment of the appeal fee. And then once that is paid, we'll start processing your appeal. And then after that, the process will start where it will be communicated to you as to what will happen when, and then you can have any legal representation if you need, or you can state your own appeal. It's up to you. So that marks the end of my presentation. Thank you. I will hand over back to Ms. van der Berg.
Thank you, Mr. Baloy. That was very informative. I see we have some questions that have come up in the chat box, so I'm going to move straight through to our Q&A session. If you do have any questions, please also feel free to put your hand up, and then we will note you and you can state your question. So the questions we've got here that I can see in the chat box. Oh wait, okay, Cindy's already answered them. They were with regards to webinars. So please, Dean and Bianca, if you look in the chat box, you can see the answers to your webinar questions. Do we have any other questions with regards to PCM registration and registration processes? I can't see any hands. Okay, I can see one hand. Victor. Yes, Victor.
Yes, ma'am. I want to find out if I haven't registered as a candidate and I do meet the requirements, can I just submit the application for the CPM registration?
Lungi? Mr. Baloy? Did you?
Okay, thank you. Sorry about that. I missed the first part of the question. Can it please be repeated?
Victor, can you just repeat that, please?
Yes, I was saying if I haven't registered as the candidate, but I do meet the requirements for registration as a professional, do I have to register first as a candidate, or I can just submit the application as a professional?
Okay. Thank you. No, you do not have to first apply as a candidate. So direct application to professional registration is allowed. So if you meet the requirements, you can just apply directly as a professional. Yep.
Thank you, Mr. Baloy. Are there any questions from our guests today? I don't see any more hair. Wait, no, I do. Victor, again. Yes, Victor?
Yes, let me just take advantage of not having questions. I just want to clarify. And then with regards to the interview and the exam, do we have exam for PRCPM application, or is it only an interview?
So for construction and project management, we only do interviews. There are no exams. Exams are only applicable to the construction health and safety registration for the officers and managers.
Thank you.
Thank you, Victor. Thank you, Mr. Baloy. Okay, so in the absence of any more, I'm just going to check the chat box. In the absence of any more questions or any hands, I'd just like to say thank you to everybody for taking the time to be to attend the session. Okay, wait, we have a hand. I can't see the name. It says AM. Yes.
Okay, thank you. I just wanted to find out, are you going also to share with us the presentation?
Yes, yes. I will share the presentation. We had a bit of an issue with our last session in terms of downloading the presentation and accessing the delegate details, but yes, we've since sorted that out. So I'll share the presentations with you, and we will also make the recording available. We'll put the recording on our YouTube channel, so you can always go back and listen to if there were any sections that you missed. So we will do that. And then there was something else I was going to say, but I've just forgotten it. I just want to say thank you to everybody for being involved. Thank you for joining us. Thank you to the SACPCMP team for taking the time to be here to answer questions and present. Please, everybody, remember that we have the webinar that's taking place on the 26th of May. We will put the login details on the website soon, and we'll send out a communication on that as well. So there are CPD hours that you'll be able to get for that. Dean, I see your hand is up.
Yes, sorry. Just coming back to my question that I had earlier, you guys said I can just email the people at SACPMC with regards to changing my registration. Would you maybe just in this chat box just put the email address down to whom I should address that mail to?
Yes. So what is your query? You want to change your registration?
Yes, I want to cancel my registration that I'm currently at and then start the process of registering for the CM and not the CPM. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
Natasha, we did assist Dean with the query, and Lungi did put his email in the chat box earlier, but I see he's reposted his email address in the chat box.
Okay,
Okay, sorry. Thank you. Thanks.
Thanks, everyone. That's super. Thank you very much. Dean, your hand is still up. Is that? Are you sorted for your question? Okay, super. All right. So, and then again, just a reminder that on the 17th of. Oh, okay. Let's finish. I've got Admire. Admire, you've got a question?
Yes, thank you. I just wanted to ask in terms of foreign qualifications. I have a diploma which I acquired outside South Africa, and then I went to SACPA, and it was a SACPA level 6, NPF level 6. And then when I applied, I was told that I need to register through the RPL. I wanted to find out, is there specific colleges, or is there, what could have been the reason why I was referred to apply via the RPL? Because my diploma is SACPA NPF level 6. Thank you.
Lungi, are you there?
I'm here, but I did not hear the response. I'm sorry.
Can you hear me?
Mr. Beloy, hello. Sorry, can I just get an indication if anybody can hear me? Am I talking to myself?
Yes, we
I
can
can
hear
hear
you.
you. Francine.
Okay, all right. Super. Okay, so what I said is I would connect Mr. Admire to the relevant person. I've made a note of that. I will connect you via email to the representative who can answer that question for you. I think then what I'm going to do is let's close this session. I'd like to say thank you to everybody for attending. Please remember that we've got downtime that will take place on the 17th and possibly the 18th of April, which is Sunday and Monday. So if you do have trouble accessing your profiles, please don't worry. It's because of the updates that need to be done. Thank you very much for joining this session. We will have another session similar to this probably in May. We try to do a session like this every month. So keep an eye on our website under the events section and you'll see the details coming up for that. I'd like to wish you all a very good weekend, a safe weekend. Please, if you are traveling, travel safely. KZN has been very hard hit by the floods, so I hope all your family. Can I call you back? And yes, please go well. Thank you so much for attending. Goodbye, everybody.
Cheers.
Bye-bye, Natasha. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Bye.
Yeah, but you make sure you use the